Well, believe it or not, I didn't have any great memories because it was a thing that I had to do. It was expected of me, especially at that time of my life, which is about 1940. I was about 6, 7 years old. And I don't remember a lot of what went on, just a few things. Just, I never forget Miss Rogers, the Lily Rogers, our teacher, how she ran both sides. And few of the people that used to go, that was attended at the time, but most of all, we had to go to school, you know. And what I I only remember the reading, the writing, and the arithmetic, basically, because I wasn't that good of a student, really. But I enjoyed it, and now, since I've gotten my age, I see the use of what I didn't get. It's a need now, but you know, it's not too late, but it is a little late, you know. But I enjoyed it, and I'm glad my parents made me go, because a lot of times I didn't really want to go. But anyway, I enjoyed Miss Rogers' teaching. She was patient, and matter of fact, she lived with us a little short while during the time of her stay here. But other than that, I enjoy her teaching. I really did. Yeah. Yeah. No, I have no special memories of it. Just every day back and forth going to school. Yeah. Yeah.
But I remember my teacher, Miss Lily Rogers, and this was our classroom right here. We didn't use that. That was shut off. But we used that as a play area when we couldn't go outside. And we also used that to keep the wood in for them to build a fire for us. And I remember the pot-belly stove sitting right here, and we would come down and we'd wait for my aunt that lived right up the road to build a fire so we could keep warm. And I remember the outdoor toilet that sat right up there that we had to use. And I can remember the line of ABCs that the teacher had at the end, the bottom of the blackboard over there. And I remember Miss Rogers, she lived in Durham, and she drove a little one-seated car.
Black Chevrolet.
And she was a very nice teacher the little while that I was here.
I have fond memories of this, as been stated. This was our classroom. And I remember very vividly how I was taught to read. And she would take our teacher, Miss Lily Rogers, would take time with every student she would go to each student and have you to read. And I wasn't that good with math, with arithmetic, but she helped me a whole lot. And we had games, and that room was our lunchroom. And but in the beginning, we didn't have a lunchroom. We had to bring our lunches from home. But they finally gave us a cook, and that was our lunchroom. We would file through it, get our lunch, and come back to our desks and sit down to eat. And in the mornings, as Mrs. Shaw had stated, the lady that used to come and would make the fire in our stove to heat the classroom she was very kind, very strict. You had to be obedient. And one thing we had to do was she taught us the 23rd Psalms in the Bible. And she had prayer with us before the teacher got here. And of course, you know, that's obsolete now. You can't do that. But that was a part of the beginning of our everyday class, before class. Um, so when the teacher got here, we was all set ready to start studying. And across the road, that's where I learned hopscotch. Across the road, across the road, because it's grass over there now, but it was dirt there. And I enjoyed, we would say we were going on field trips. And we would walk around through these woods and gather, particular fall of the year, you would get a leaf of different kinds or whatever, and we would bring it back in and paste it onto paper, and that would be like our little science project. And it was very enjoyable. And most, our teacher, Miss Little Rogers, knew our parents, most of them. And we wasn't really hard to manage, because if she would say, if you misbehave, I'm going to tell your mother. And she did visit in the homes of the students. So you knew that you had to behave yourself, or either you would be reported by your teacher. And I have fond memories about very humble beginnings here, but we learned a lot. And we were taught a lot about being obedient, treating one another right. So, but of course now, you can't say too much to a student about being obedient. Well, you can, but you have to walk a chalk line down with what you say to a student. But here, it wasn't quite that way, because if you disobeyed, if you done good, your parents would know about it. And I went to school here until, I guess, maybe 5th grade, 4th grade, maybe. Then we transferred to Little River High School. I don't know where you've heard of that, but it's in Bahama. And I enjoyed coming to school. I enjoyed my classmates. And I think that little room back there was where we hung our coats. And we would always look forward to recess. And she would ring a bell. We knew that it was time to come in then. And Miss Rogers was very, I would say, she was really interested in you learning, and whatever subject you were having trouble in, she would really work with you. And we didn't get spankings, we got punished. And sometimes it would be go in that where your garments were hanging, close the door, and you would have to stay in there for so many minutes, and then you could come out. And back then, the parents was more geared towards listening to what the teacher had to say and to correct you. But see, nowadays, you gotta be so particular with what you say to a child, because, everybody is law conscientious now. But parents back then, they believed the teacher and would confront you with your parent, and you was better be willing to try to straighten up whatever you done wrong. So I didn't only get a lot of training for school, but I got a lot of training in being obedient and being kind to one another, and thinking about what would you like to accomplish in life. So when we got ready, when they closed this down and we had to start going to Little River, it was a whole new thing for us. More space, more teachers, more students, whereas in this little classroom, you just had so many students here. And the good part about it being here, every family knew one another. And it was more or less like the teacher, the parents, and the people in the community stood with trying to bring you, to raise you, and to lead you, and to guide you in the right directions for life.